Just testing the audio, guys. Can you guys hear me? Just want to make sure everyone can hear me. We're gonna start at I'll give it till 1:05 and then we'll start. Not gonna be long. I don't want to fill you guys up with noise. Just good information and then we'll move on. Just let me know in the chat if you don't mind if you can hear me. And then in 10 minutes we'll start. Be about perfect. It'll be about 40-45 minutes, if that, of just good information, not no noise, and then I'll call it. All right, so give me 10 minutes to start. I said 1 o'clock. Give it to 1:05. Um, yeah. All right, all right. You guys can hear me? Let's get it started, man. Let's get this. Let's get it done. Everyone can hear me? Oh, okay. All right. So you guys can hear me, right? Just making sure. I don't feel like talking for 45 minutes and then. Okay. What's up, Keish? What's up, brother? Um. All right. So today we're just gonna talk about OTRK. All right. Because people get offended when I say simple trade, and I'm gonna show you why it was a very simple thesis. Okay. So I seen it pre-market. We're gonna go through the chat room first, from start to finish, on the mindset behind it. Right. Look, pre-market, when you see something up gapping, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a short. Right. 100% up doesn't mean it's a short. Right. Could that change potentially midday, 10:30, 10 o'clock? 100% things change. Right. Things change. But where it was at that current moment, it was not a short. Right. A lot more times than not, I see the reverse split. I want this thing to squeeze out as much as possible. And let shorts get burnt. Right. I used the 1 minute 20 SMA. It never broke it. Right. I made a whole video on this. So I said pre-market, I'm not going to short it. Now, later on in the day, I shorted it. It's not a forced trade. It's my bias changed. I was long biased here. Um, Mike D in here actually longed it and then he shorted it. But I was long biased here. I personally don't long these. Just because I'm long biased doesn't mean I'm necessarily in the trade. It just means that I'm not gonna touch it, right? You can make a ton of money on these plays, but timing is super important, right? So a lot of people just get in and then they get squeezed, right? So timing's key. Better yet, patience. You got to have patience for these plays to come to you, right? So we were looking at AMBO. Me and Theory, we were talking about AMBO. It really didn't do shit. Um, and then I go reverse split agendas to stay listed, big avoid, good old potential Nasdaq scheme, reverse split, lower share count, a big pump, and then they raise. That's exactly what they did, right? So I knew at this moment in time, into the open, I'm gonna let it do whatever it wants. I won't even look at it, right? A lot of people, why they struggle with trading, is because this is the only thing I'd watch. Let's say they'll be here and they create FOMO, right? It's okay to walk away and look from afar and let the trade set up for you, right? Don't force the trade. Let it set up, right? I wasn't even looking here, right? And then I opened up my screen and seen it here, and I was like, oh shit, I have to take this trade. So I wasn't looking. Like I wasn't falling in love with the ticker. I let it set up for me, right? It's just a um trading vehicle. I'm not in love with this ticker, right? I'm gonna let it squeeze out, and then I'll get in later on, right? So I had a bias pre-market, not short biased. I'm long biased, but I'm not gonna long it. Okay, it's just an avoid. This is not a setup for me, so I'm just gonna avoid it. All right, let shorts get squeezed out, right? And that's what happened. So I knew from doing my DD pre-market, I made a video on this as well. I mean, I'm giving people answers, right? It's all about if you go and prove all this. This shit don't matter unless you go back and do the work. But I'm giving you the blueprint to make it happen. Okay, I don't know. There's not much more I could do for people. I looked at it. You know, I did the edge to trade. I made a video on it like 3 days ago, and I said, look, what does this stock tend to do? Right? Not only have reverse split and everything, now I have more to prove my thesis of why I'm long biased. But eventually, could I be short biased? When it all said and done, could it be a potential short? Right? And then I went, okay, day one gap, 168%. Right? I'm sorry, right here. Day one open, 765. High, 930. Close, 660. Squeeze, fail. Okay. Day one open, 95. High, 148. Squeeze. Day close, 100. Squeeze, fail.
So right away I knew, and this is just 20% gaps with no volume over the course of the last 10 years, and this is literally it. So I knew I'm gonna get a squeeze, and then what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna let it squeeze, and when it breaks down the 20 SMA 1 minute, we're deviated off the 5 minute. I'm gonna hit the 1 minute, like I did right here. Add more into the pop. Risk high a day. Breaks down. I added some over under view up. Not exact. View up's not a direct exact indicator. It's very choppy. And then I'm gonna move my risk down to this perk fail. You see how this big red candle, this big breakdown? I'm gonna move my risk about right here. Right? Not exact. Over under 508, I think I put my risk at. Because it should not reclaim this breakdown. And then it faded off. Alright? Now, I covered a little bit here. I'm not a perfectionist. Even with entries, I'm not a perfectionist. I do mess up, like most traders. Most fail to want to admit it, but yes, I 100% mess up a lot, a lot. I'm nowhere near a perfect trader. I just have perfect risk management. So, I covered some here. I don't know why. It's just my discipline. I know myself better than anybody. My discipline to wait for the timing to get in is perfect. My covers sometimes, it's a personality thing. Um, I just can't. Sometimes I can't hold the full amount to my PT, and 90% of the time it goes to my PT when things work in my favor. I just can't get myself to hold. Something I got to work on. I've been trying to work on this for 9 years. I just give up. It is what it is. Right? Some things you just have to accept. Anyway, so I covered some here like an idiot. Then it failed. I covered half here. I covered about 2,000 shares here, and then it failed. And I mean, into this big slam, I covered the rest. Um, I was looking at the 5 minute 200 EMA, right? Now, why did I hold for this long, right? Well, I have something to back it, right? It's not really an opinion. First of all, if you look at the daily chart on this chart as well as just the data, very wiki, right? Big push, fail, big push, fail, right? Big push, fail, big fail, big fail. So I was looking, right? Day one open, 765. Day one close, 660, right? Day one open, 95. Day one close, 100. So right around the open is a good cover, right? It's 50-50, but you could tell that they almost close right near the open. It's either going to break down and close below or slightly above. So I'm going to ride it, right? Based off the data. Personality, right? Personality in stocks is huge. So what did I do? Entry, I let it run. And you're going to ask, why didn't you get in there pre-market? That's a spike. Yeah. Well, if I do the 1 minute 20 SMA, is it not grinding the 20 SMA? Grinding, grinding, grinding. Big confirmation breakdown. Basically broke a trend here too. Short pops, breaks down, move risk down to this perk, this big drop. And that's why I say it's simple, because it is somewhat simple, right? It's not the stock that's difficult to trade. It's the patience to wait for the right time to trade it. That's the difficult part. But it's easy once you're in, it just works, right? But how many times have you been in a stock in out, in out, in out, in out, and then you're finally like you missed the big fade, and look at this, right? This never looked back, right? It was so heavy, it couldn't even bounce. So I use data, right? And that's all I did. I'm not sitting over here with a list of 20 different red flag criterias because I'm scared to lose, because I have to be right, because I need all this stuff, because I don't know how to cut my loss. I'm scared to be wrong because last time I was wrong, I couldn't cut my loss, right? Rookie shit, to be honest with you. It's rookie shit, right? So I use this one simple thing. Well, it tends to push. Let it break down, break a trend, add, and then add into the winner and write it down, right? The more criteria you make, I said this again, more criteria you make, you're just confirming what? The inevitable, that you, not the inevitable, you're just confirming that
I'm scared to lose. The more criteria I make, the more safe I will be. Right? And look, now it's breaking down, right? It's basically 50-50. If it closes slightly below the close, the open, or below. Right? Remember I said here or here. Now, how can I predict this? Well, it's not that difficult to do. The hard part is patience to wait. And that's the trade. All right? I know people think it's so much more that goes into it. There's not. Overthinking and overcomplicating, overanalyzing is a huge reason why people fail. I don't overanalyze. I'm dumbed down as fuck. Everything I do is pretty easy. It's just the discipline to wait to when to do it is what's the hard part. So, you know, uh, so I said it, short OTRK right here. I said it. Then I kept adding. Theory was short as well. A few other guys were short. And we got out. Very simple, right? MD longed it and shorted it. Quiche longed it from over here, which was very nice. And that was the trade. Very straightforward. Edge to trade. You can use spike heat or edge to trade. I recommend edge to trade. Spike heat's more of like a professional one, but edge to trade, for my opinion, you're paying 60% less. You're paying $150 a month, and you're getting the same exact data. So all I'll do is, I don't have it on this computer. I have it on my Mac, but I'll just put in 2015 to 2014, gap over 20%. Volume, I'll just put 0 because a lot of times reverse splits, it can mess up the volume. $1 to $100, and then I'll pull this data and I'll see what does this stock tend to do. And honestly, man, you're gonna come to notice that when you're early, if you just did this extra work, preparation, pre-market, you could avoid being early so many times. And then you include this 20 SMA, you won't be early anymore. Right? Of course, yeah, sometimes you will be early, right? No perfection. But I mean, theory's still short this thing right now. Congratulations, man. That's amazing. But yeah, more times than not, you won't be early, right? And especially day ones, timing is one of the hardest things to do, and it's also the most crucial part in trading is timing. Knowing when to not do anything and when it's your time to finally take the trade. Yeah, I was seeing. Well, no, I could search specific tickers. So on Edge to Trade, you could put a symbol thing, right? And then you could put all 20% gappers, whatever, 2015 and 2014, and then you could search symbol OTRK, and it will bring up the history of OTRK. And that's where I get these two rows from. So there's only been 2 previous times in the last 10 years. And I wanted to know, what is the personality of the stock? What does it tend to do? And guys, if history, I mean, I say this every time, it's not rocket science. Boom, it did it here, it did it here. Well, it's not a gap, it did it here, and it did it here. 319.24, so it did it here. And then it also did it on 10/11, 118. Sorry, give me a second. It also did it on 118. You see what I'm saying? If you guys are late, you're gonna have to rewatch it. I apologize, but I don't want to repeat all this. So you see, this data that I pulled for this specific ticker for gaps, 20% or more, we get 118, push, fail. 319, 319, push, fail. And then today, push, fail. And then I would just use a simple indicator to confirm backside. Knowing my thesis is what? It should fade. So I'm comfortable taking the trade. I just got to know when. Right? So I was riding the 20 SMA, broke down, I shorted. Added, moved my wrist down to this, and then wrote it down. How easy does that sound? Jonathan, how easy does that sound? Sounds easy, right? It's not that easy because there's still a whole skill that you have to learn, and that skill is patience. You could still know all this, and you still could potentially not make money because patience is super hard to build. So that's what we did. It was that simple. It wasn't looking at 3,000 red flags. I just want to know, what does this stock tend to do? It tends to spike and then fail. So I let it spike and then I got in. It's really that easy. See? Theory covered the rest at 270. See? He has way better patience than me. I covered 2,000 up here. I would have made 8,000 if I just waited. Literally, if I waited 3 extra minutes, but patience. Well, some people, Jonathan, say edge to trade is too expensive, right? But if you're risking $4 or $5,000 a trade, even 1,000 a trade, is $150 worth the investment of your business? Right? If you had a business, right? If you had a business, is that tool worth it, right? Right? I just paid for edge to trade for a year today, more than a year. I think it's worth it. So you can pull the data on these gappers and see what do they tend to do. And then you can use the 20 SMA as some type of entry method. Right? I know it sounds easy because it is that easy in terms of setup. It's the discipline when you're waiting here pre-market and you're so antsy of FOMO, you're gonna miss it. Short, get out. Short, get out. Short, get out. Yeah, that's what people. That's a newer trader thing. You gotta get away from that somehow. You can't do that for 15, 20 years. That type of trading, it's going to be too stressful, and you might have a heart attack. You think I'm joking? Well, I'm not. You'd be surprised how bad trading could be on your body, especially the stress. Right? So make it very simple, and this is a very simple type of trade. I know it's not easy, but in terms of concept and thesis, it's very simple. Any questions, guys? There's 14 in here. Sorry, 14 people in here. Anyone have questions? I'm gonna take a guess that everyone knows how to do this. Should ask questions. I mean, I'm trying to help. So I was in the chat room. We said it today. I paid like 650 after my ad on locates. So I couldn't really size up on this fucking thing because I have a problem with overpaying on locates sometimes. It's a mental block. I understand it. But again, some things you can't fix. All right. Sometimes my patience is, sometimes I just gotta get, you live and you learn in trading a lot. So why 20 SMA versus EMA? I don't know. I mean, exponential for short term is definitely a quicker. SMA is definitely more lagging if you understand the concept behind it. I'm sure you do, Barry. Um, I just found it to work. There's no, I don't know. You could probably do either one. They're probably the same shit. I don't know. It just always worked. So I mean, if it works, why fix it? Kind of, you know. But I'm sure you could create an edge around EMA as well. But it's just because this tends to work. I never did the 20 EMA. If that makes sense. There's really no answer to that, man. It's just this was what I do. Most indicators are very similar, almost. Yeah. So I just use it just because. I mean, I guess it's just indicator of choice. Just seeing it, having experience with it, seeing it over and over again be accurate, gave me conviction. So that's why I stick with it. Right. So when you build conviction on something that works, I wouldn't change it because then you got to watch it again, right? Like I've seen this a million times. Right? So I'm so I don't have an answer for that. It's just I'm pretty sure you could use either one. When I'm stopping out to use market order, I use market orders. If I get 20 cent slippage, I don't care. I don't care. I'd rather have 20 cent slippage and know that I'm out. And every trading decision I had to make about just getting in is in my control, but I want the computer to do the rest for me. Hard stops, market, right? It's all right. I get slippage too. Still make money. Mind you, you could also move your stop down. It depends, right? You move your stop down. Like once this thing broke down VWAP, I added down here. I believe right here, somewhere around here, and then I move my stop down to this breakdown candle, right to the high. So, I mean, I get slippage, man. I mean, the last 2 weeks I was down $13,000. I get slippage. All right. I took 7 trades. It was down $13,000. I made 3 trades or whatever, up $19,000. Excellent risk reward, and I use market. I still have, I make 3 trades. I make back 6, 7 trade losses. All right. So I don't, slippage is not, I never had a problem with it. It's just part of the game. But it probably feels good knowing, that you don't have to sit here and make those decisions, right? Because I know about you, but sometimes I don't trust myself to stop out mentally. All right, imagine I'm having a bad day. I'm good. I'd rather the broker put these here for a reason, all right? Because without us, they don't make money. So they want us to be trading. So they give us these tools. Use them. Use them. And Black Cat, you could also account, right? If you're catching slippage, you could account into your risk reward in terms of entry. You could account a 10, 20 cent slippage, right? So you could also account into how many shares you take for your dollar risk. You can account slippage in that. So you don't have to take as many shares, right? There's so many ways to do it. There's not one right answer. Um, but this was basically the trade. It was super easy. Um, Stress free. I mean, I went outside. I went outside to watch Shawshank Redemption around this time, but I always had my laptop with me. Uh, Literally, I went outside to watch Shawshank Redemption on the TV somewhere over here. Anyway, and then I seen it on here, and I was like, "Oh, I got to jump in there, and I got to take that trade." And I came back right here, took the trade. How many people? Not a lot. 14, 15, 16. All right. That's because I keep it real, right? If I wanted to just make a trading room, I could just lie every day and say that I make money every day. You know what I mean, Gavin? I know a lot about traders, and I know a lot about personalities of traders, and they just want to know how to win. They don't want to know how to properly take a loss. So we're just gonna show wins all the time, right? No, I mean people. This trading room, we lose all the time, but we make a lot too. So, AMBO. This is more like this. I was just sick of it. I mean, we tried it. I mean, for overextended gap down. I pulled the data on it. It really doesn't fade. We gave it a shot. Um, at this point, I just got out right here. I was like, you know what? We had the hot ticker of the day. We had the big win. Well, single. We had a single for today. I'm just gonna get out this little grinder. It was more of a um, decision I made. Why did I short sober yesterday? It was the same concept, but it just didn't work. Right? See the big wicks? Same concept, just didn't work. And at this point, time of day is super important in trading. At this point, it's now 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. If it starts perking up, I'm not gonna let it turn to a loser at 3 o'clock. I'm just gonna take it off. I'm not gonna have an ego. I'm not gonna have to prove myself to be right. I'm just gonna get out and move on. Does that make sense? It's just one of those that just it didn't work, right? So I got out right here, I believe, um, and walked away at 3 o'clock. At that point, I'm not planning on holding this overnight. And if it starts perking on volume, I'm not gonna let it turn to a loser at 3 p.m. It, at that point, thesis invalid. Take it off. Please. No. This is a beaten down chart. So when you see a chart like this, red day, red day, red day, red day, would you expect some type of pop? Look at this. Think about it, right? Imagine a stock. You know when a stock. This is a good example. You know in physics when they say when you throw a ball up in the air, eventually it slows down and it obviously comes back, right? I know I might make this sound fucking stupid as shit, but in physics when you throw in general you throw a baseball up in the air, right? And it comes down, right? Eventually, when you dive down like this so fast, eventually what? Same thing. It's gonna go up. Does that make sense? Right? When you get a big parabolic, a lot of times they come down. When you get a big panic, a lot of times they bounce. Big panic, bounce. Right? So I'm not expecting this to fail today. I'm expecting this to have a solid Green Day bounce. Does that make sense? All right. Um, with that, debating joining has a lot to do with small caps and niche specifically. I only really trade small caps. I trade large caps, exhaustion gaps, but that's really it. I mean, I had the opportunity to talk to someone that worked in the pit in New York City, and he did crude oil. He did all crude, and he specifically said this is a while ago. He specifically said, "Don't just master one niche. You only need one niche, right? You see people jumping around niche to niche, and they know very little about the niche. You want to master a niche, master a sector in trading from a setup to a specific market cap standard or something like that. You don't need that much to win in trading. In matter of fact, the less you know in trading, the better, right? For many reasons, in terms of overthinking, second guessing, conflicting factors. So you don't need to know a lot. So if you're in a small cap short seller and there's liquidity and you don't have liquidity issues for your size, then stick to that and master that niche. Not the whole market in general in terms of small caps, but a few setups, master them. That's all you need. Yes, what is this? A look first daily for context, and then yeah. I mean, I always play daily charts. My thing is big picture, micro to macro, big picture to intraday execution. Sober, somewhat. Yeah, I guess somewhat. But I was still playing the personality of the stock. I seen this, but yeah, 100%. You're right. It just didn't work. But I gave it a shot just because of what it tends to do. But yeah, you could definitely say this is comparable to this, right? But this is more obvious to me than this. But yeah, you could say you get 100%. 100%, you are right. Right. But the most important part is, Jonathan, is that I knew when it was my time to get out, right? It's not always about being right or wrong. Um, I think being right or wrong in trading and just trying to always be right is a toxic, probably the worst thing you could do. I just knew when it was my time, I got to get the fuck out, you know? That's the most important part. A lot of people can't really recognize that and they let it go against them and they start fighting. So I just got out. Was I wrong? Of course. But did I lose? No. But yeah, the daily chart context technically, yeah, it is technically kind of the same shit. But whatever. I'm not a perfectionist, man. I make mistakes all the time. OTRK, I spent about 650 on borrows. It was a little more expensive. I wanted to size up to on this. I probably would have took a 4K risk. I only took a $1,500 risk after adding. But I have a problem sometimes with it's a mental block for me. Like everyone has flaws. I have a problem sometimes with locating too much, potentially be wrong, and then spend 3,000 on locates. Like sometimes it could fuck me all up. So that's a mental block I've always had. I have many mental blocks. From that to sometimes waiting for the exact PT. But what could you do? So I spent about 650 on locates. I spent about 14 cents a share at Cobra. Right. Look, the most important thing I want to teach about trading, guys, is that perfection. You know, being perfect, a perfect trader. Being a perfect trader is not necessary. Right. I'm far from a perfect trader. I make mistakes all the time. Right. I'm ever since I started this room. If Goku's in here, he could tell you. I'm up around, I don't even know, like over $100,000 in the last month and a half. Maybe like 120 now. But I've had 3 red weeks. 3 red weeks I've had. Right? So that goes to show I make mistakes a lot. But I know when to be wrong. But when I know when I'm right, I know how to be really right. 3 red weeks. I've had 3 red weeks. Most of my money I made in 3, 4 days. And then 2 weeks red. 3, 4 days. 2 weeks red. You know? So I'm not perfect at all. I just know how to manage risk. And I know when I'm right, how to be really right. When I'm wrong, how to be just wrong. Not really wrong, just wrong. Like, a lot of people take outlier losses. Up on the year, I have no idea. Like, I don't know, like 6. I don't know, bro. I had to pull up my. I can't get to my statements. I can't get into my client link. I've been trying to deal with them. Like, this is my account, but I don't know my fucking password. And when you go to reset your password, they ask all these security questions. I've been dealing with this for over a year too. And there's one about my favorite sports team, and I don't know if I spelt it wrong, but their clearing firm, they had to go through their clearing firm. They got to go through their clearing firm, and their clearing firm, they keep telling me they're going to reply. I have not got a reply, and this is like the 6th time I have attempted this. I just don't know. I literally don't know what else to do. So I can't even pull up my statement, but I know I'm up. I'm up good. I'm up for me. I'm up good. I use Cobra, but the Cobra's not who you deal with for my client link. They go through their clearing firm. So it's the broker, and then they have a clearing firm where they get the locates and things like that. And I can't get on. Like I just can't. I've been trying to do this for over a year. Mike, you dealing with the same thing? I mean, I've been trying to contact them for. I mean, I call them all the time. I know the guys there, not personally, but I know them now because I call so much. Yeah, Wedbush. Yeah, they don't respond. And I tried to make a new account. I said, should we maybe change my account over or something? Because I wanted to do it on Profitly. I wanted to upload verified profits, but I can't. So I tried. I literally can't. Yeah, yeah, no, no. I know my username. This isn't it. It's something else. But it's just not. It's just not working. Yeah, I can still cash out. I really don't use this money, to be honest with you. I have other businesses that I do. I don't use trading money. I just don't. I don't have to. Kingfo? Yeah, but Kinfo, you still need account information, man. I've tried it. Well, Kinfo, I never tried actually. But Profitly, I've always used. Profitly was like where I started. We all fell into the Tim Sykes scheme, right? But that's like, I've tried it. I don't know. But I've contacted them many times. And I just don't know. I kind of just gave up on it. It's just too stressful. The dollar risk I take per trade, I'll show you right now. I just wrote up a thing because I have all these things on my desk, right? I have all notes. I have like sniper mentality on my desk. I have a checklist on my desk for tickers, for setups. Um, you guys can still hear me? You guys can hear me? Okay. Sorry, I thought the stream just ended. I think I have an hour. I don't know. So I wrote up today because I got to reprint it because I changed some risk parameters around this morning. But um, this is my risk. So I have risk parameters, right? I know exactly what I want to risk. I have price targets, right? So like I always perfect. I'm huge on perfecting risk. That's literally the only reason I'm profitable. It's not because I'm the smartest trader in the world. This is my risk. I mean, the overnight long Momo is a little smaller. I size up on the things I'm more confident in, have more conviction in. All right. Do I only do one bullet per ticker? I do not. It depends. I know you, Barry. You're a very experienced trader. You know when a stock is forming its intraday chart, sometimes you got to do a starter wider risk, and then as it tightens up, you could add, right? So usually, if the stock's not forming enough and it's a little wider, I'll do a wider stop, and then I will add as the stock forms. Sorry, the intraday chart forms to tighten up that stop. So that's case by case. It's sometimes yes, sometimes no. That's 100% case by case. That's why trading's kind of difficult, right? Because you got to make those decisions. This stock is not formed enough. For example, today, right here, I didn't want to add in full, so I added more down here as I could move my stop down and mitigate my risk. So it's always case by case. It depends on the ticker, it depends on the price action, depends on if the chart is formed enough to have a new risk. Yeah, I'm not always putting full risk on. It depends. More times than not, I do end up getting full risk, but not one bullet. It's usually adding into the winner. When things work, they say this, right? When things work, I'm hopeful. So when I'm hopeful, I could add. It's working. When things don't work, I'm fearful, so I cut. More times than not, people are hopeful, hopeful when it goes against them. Oh, I hope it comes back down, right? But when it and then they're fearful when it goes for them because they're scared to give back profit. Does that make sense? All right, so yeah, that's basically it. I mean, I added to my winners, and I'm hopeful that it's working. Yeah. Any other questions? I don't want to make this too long. I just wanted to do a short little video. Just try to help some people out. Look, if you have questions, I would ask. Look, I've noticed one thing. It's not my job to call people out. I've noticed one thing about traders. Just from actually recently, ever since I opened this room, matter of fact, don't have an ego. Me personally, if I have a question and there's a trader that I look up to or a trader that has potentially the answer, um, I'm gonna ask the question, right? So don't have an ego. You don't have to know it all. You don't have to be the smartest guy. You can be profitable and know very little. Don't have an ego. Always keep learning. So if you have questions, ask. It doesn't matter who you are, how much money you make. Always be open-minded. Open-minded trader is a great trader. So ask away. I'm gonna give you guys like 5 minutes to ask questions. I'll answer them and then we're gonna call it. I'm also drinking some wine right now on this beautiful Tuesday. So, any questions, guys? All right. All right, guys. I'm gonna call it. Okay. You use it's a little delayed. The stream's a little delayed, so I need to wait a minute. You use VWAP 220. Is that correct? Nothing else. You use VWAP 200 EMA 20 SMA, correct? Nothing else. Yes. Uh, I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah. We could say that. I mean, I use plenty of different things like the fib sometimes for day two gap shorts. But yeah, mainly yes. Do you increase your dollar risk after winning streaks or base? Okay, great question, Jonathan. Jonathan. You're asking great questions. I've learned this from a great trader. All right, I learned this from an eight-figure trade. Well, eight-figure trader, and this is why I'm able to grow so fast. Right. When I have momentum in the stock market, and there comes a time in trading when you realize all of a sudden that you can make every right decision, and your trading decisions are just in your favor. That could be for 3 days. It could be for a day. Um, I size up. So yes, this risk is just to keep me safe. But if I'm hot and I have 3 green days and things are just working, the market's hot, I'll size up to 8K risk, $10,000 risk. I do $10,000 risk. Sometimes I've done $15,000 risk, and I will size up because market. My mindset. I'm trading in the zone. It's a real thing. When you're making the right decisions and momentum is on your side, and you have that trading momentum with you, you can feel that you're just making the right decisions for your best interest. Yes, I will size up as the things are working and the market is just favoring everything I'm doing 100%. Great question. A lot of people don't do that. A lot of people lose and then size down, right? Yeah, great question. I size up when I'm winning. When I'm losing, it's just a loss. But when I'm really making right decisions, I'll size up. Day one gapper for me is Lucas. It's always a changing thing. I've been working on the day one gapper nonstop for the last year, and there's this always something I'm learning. Right? Um, I could do a whole video on it, but I'm not a perfect day one gapper trader. But I'm always tweaking my criteria, my trading on it, learning from mistakes. So yes, there's always something changing. I'm always learning something about it. It's not it's not my end all be all setup, but it's more, like I said in the past, it's more just to keep me just padding the wallet, right? 3-4 thousand dollars, high frequency type of trade. I can do a video on it, but yeah, I'm always changing it. It's probably gonna be impossible to keep up with me because every day I'm almost working on it. I'm working on it. I mean, I sit here. I know it's yes, I'm addicted to the stock market. So yeah, sometimes I do sit here to 8 p.m. at night, 5 days a week, and then have fun on my weekends. But that's just because I have passion. So yes, I'm always changing something. It's gonna be impossible to keep up with that, but I could try to make another video on it. But I'm always tweaking my trading. Okay, yeah, Jonathan, say I make a $10,000 trade and it works. The next day, 10,000 risk trade and it works. The next day I lose. I'm gonna go back to being rational and say, okay, the market might have shifted, and I'm not reading any more good information. Now I'm gonna go back to, let's say, day two gap up, $5,000 risk. All right. So it's those decisions, right? Trading is mostly about making rational decisions in your favor. So if I lose on the next one, I'm just gonna, okay, back to 5,000, right? So trading is a lot mental. It's a mental game. It's really person to person. Trading's not. This is how you have to do it. Everyone has their flaws, right? So I could take that risk and be okay. You might not be able to do that, right? So yeah, if I take a $10,000 risk because everything's working and it works, and then the next one doesn't work, I'm gonna go back to my regular size until I get my momentum back. I know that sounds crazy. It's just what I do. Not a lot of people do that, but some great traders that I have, I know do that, and it works. Well, you have to remember too something, Jonathan. How long have you been trading for? See, there's just so much. This is a big fucking puzzle, my friend. This is a big puzzle. So I could do this, right? I could do this because I know what I'm doing. I'm not saying you don't know what you're doing, but more times than not, people have so many unknowns when they first start where they can't do this. I'm very aware of everything going on. If you're not profitable, you probably shouldn't be doing this, right? It's a more advanced thing. It's especially mentally, in my opinion. I mean, you could try it, but if you take that big loss on the first one and it doesn't work, your momentum stops on the next big risk, you might be deflated as a trader. It's all about your mental capacity of taking a big loss. Right? Everyone's loss is different, right? You can see a guy take $1,000. Let me put it in perspective how trading works. This is a pretty known fact, but people lose they lose the realistic part of trading. You could take a guy that has a $5,000 trading account and he bets $1,000. Therefore, he's betting 20% of his account, right? He loses on Twitter, $1,000 loss. To most people, I think it's like, okay, he lost $1,000. Little do you know, he just lost 20% of his account. You take a guy with $1 million account and he trades $100,000, right? Yes. Oh my God, he lost $100,000. He must have blew up. No, it's all relevant to people's situation. So can you size up, Jonathan? That's the question. It's person to person. And first of all, if you're not profitable and you don't have conviction in your setup, I would not just start sizing up. Does that make sense? %. I was more risking 2% each trade, but like dynamic stuff. Yeah. Well, again, Jonathan, are you profitable? All right, we're gonna call it here, I think. But look, if you have questions, you could. We'll do this on a different time. You could contact me or DM me. I'm welcome. I'm all ears to trying to help out if I could. All right, guys. Appreciate you guys watching. Take care.